Hey guys, I thought it might be a kind of a cool video idea to do a little analysis on the new Nintendo Switch OLED model, which Nintendo just released a trailer for a couple of days ago. So this is basically an upgraded model of the Switch. Nothing on the interior has changed except the screen, which is now 7 inches from 6.2. Obviously, it uses OLED technology now, so the colors will be brighter, the blacks will be darker, and the dock has the LAN port as well as increased sound in the actual Switch console itself. And so there you can see the 7-inch OLED screen, and then they have like the bigger kind of Microsoft Surface-esque like table. It folds out like across the entire back, and it's a tabletop holder. It's when I first saw the trailer, I was assumed it would be like an improved there's the adjustable stand right there. I assumed they would have a improved like chip inside to make this like, or at least like a higher definition screen from 720p, because obviously it's like 2021 right now. 720p is a little old, but I guess in a screen that small it doesn't matter too much, and maybe just the color itself and the old technology will make it seem like there is like an improvement in definition. But there was a lot of rumors coming out from like Bloomberg and all these different articles and like leakers that it would have like 4K support and like all these other bells and whistles, but clearly it didn't happen. And they said it was going to be announced at E3, but that didn't happen. And I think honestly, after all the leaks were coming out of like 4K and all that stuff and like everything that leakers were promising, I think they purposely didn't announce it then, because like people would be super disappointed in it. And like they definitely would have, like they had a pretty good E3. They announced some, I think they won E3 honestly over all the other companies, but this just would have kind of disappointed the fans, because they would be, if they did announce like a nicer Switch with like 4K, they'd be expecting maybe some like 4K gameplay or some sort of like, or showing like Breath of the Wild in 4K on like their new Switch, but obviously that didn't happen. But there was also rumors for DLSS support, which is like NVIDIA's deep learning, like super sampling. It kind of upscales everything without like hitting the frames too hard, and that might be their plan. There you can see the 3 different models of the Switch. So obviously the Switch Lite is just purely portable. The base Switch has both portable at home, and this new OLED model gives kind of improvements on both of those. But the thing is, it's like a little awkward, because I mean, Nintendo's done this in the past with their hardware. It's always really weird when there's like multiple versions of stuff. For example, like the Wii remote, there was the Wii Motion Plus and the little brick that you had to attach, and obviously that was annoying. It made like the Wii remote kind of clunky. It still worked well though. But then there was like the upgraded one with it built in, and it's like, if you bought the first one, there's really no point in buying the second unless you have the money to. But if you don't have the money to, then it's kind of like you missed out, and you could have waited. But was it worth waiting like that long to get the like? And you wouldn't know either. That's the problem. So it's like this kind of puts the original Switch model at like kind of a weird position, because it obviously that's not worth buying, but it would be the budget option. But like the Lite is the budget option. So would they release like a 4K one? I think what they might do is maybe after this holiday season just stop producing like the original model and just ship everything with like the Switch. Every Switch would turn into like the OLED model purely, and then maybe then in like a year or two release like the 4K version. But I don't even think it has to be 4K, to be honest. I think what they could just do is keep improving the battery, keep improving the storage, and then have like that DLSS support to kind of improve the visuals without having to like spend too much on the actual console and like make it a lot more expensive. Like that would give them a really big advantage. I think 1080p, 1440, even 1440p I think would be fine, because it is a portable console. We're not like 4K portable, like it's a bit too much to ask for, but I think with DLSS it would be possible. Excuse me. But yeah, it's just always really weird. Like, which model would you buy now? Now, is it worth waiting to see if they release a 4K one? Obviously this one's good if you don't own one already, but if they release a 4K one with like the same like OLED screen and better specs, so it's like you should have waited, but I mean, how much longer are you supposed to wait? Because obviously these games have their own lifespans. Online support has its own lifespan. Like, after a while, these games become old, and you're just gonna be behind for like a really, really long time. So, yeah, that's what I mean by it being super awkward. And I feel like the adjustable sound is alright, but most people use headphones anyway. The kickstand is obviously helpful, but it's not like a console selling sort of thing. Like, there isn't really anything in this version tell me like I really need this one over the original model or even the Lite. Obviously the screen is nicer, but the other one can put the exact same performance, and if you play usually at home anyway, then there's like really no point of getting this. So it's like there's so many pros and cons with each model of like and hardware iteration, but Nintendo kind of knows they're gonna make money off this anyway. It's really kind of anti-consumer, but they've always been like that. They know it's gonna make money, and obviously it will, so they kind of just do it anyways. The new white Joy-Cons are pretty nice though, and I feel like the OLED screen will make a big difference in like, because everything's just gonna be brighter, the colors will be nicer. It'll look, even without an increase in actual like pixel count, I think it'll still look amazing. Obviously there's the stand. It goes out pretty wide, which is pretty nice, so this will make tabletop easier. Again, the white Joy-Cons are pretty clean. It's hard to tell in the video, you can't tell how good the screen is, but it's gonna release, I think, this at October 8th, so right in time for the holiday season. They know they're gonna make a lot of money on this. But they didn't specify a price, and I don't think there were any leaked prices either. But there's no way it would be over like $350 US. If it was, I'd be surprised. But they also announced that the dock is going to sell separately, so it's good that it's at least compatible with the original Switch, so you can get that wired LAN port. But then again, like, you want the LAN, but then you have the old model, but you want the screen too. So do you spend all the money if you already own a Switch? It's like, it's really weird. It's like an awkward position. I keep using that word. It's pretty awkward. Like, which model do you buy? What do you do? If you already own a Switch, if you don't own a Switch, like, do you just wait it out again if you were waiting for the 4K support or 1440p support? It's just a weird situation. But the video itself hasn't done bad. It has like about 200,000 likes, 30,000 dislikes, but you can see in the comments that people are like, all these leakers were just wrong. But at the same time, Nintendo never promised that they would release 4K anything. They never said anything themselves. So really, if anyone's disappointed with this, it's really their own fault for believing the leakers. But obviously, I mean, people get excited. I was pretty excited too. I thought it would be pretty cool, but they didn't promise anything, so you can't really be mad at Nintendo for this. But I mean, it is like, I wasn't expecting OLED. I think it's like mini LED, which is like similar to OLED, but like in a step down. But I mean, an OLED screen is pretty impressive. Like, it's gonna be a really nice looking screen. I know it, and it's 7 inches. It's just weird. Hopefully, it was a hope for it to like run better. But maybe with DLSS, if they're working on that right now, if they can really, really make DLSS work well with every single game, and like you probably know that like right now there's usually some visual bugs because they have to kind of like train the AI to learn the game. If they can kind of get that down really well and have it run completely smoothly without those visual glitches, and kind of like iron those kinks out with like, say, Breath of the Wild 2, Odyssey 2, maybe Splatoon 3 and stuff like that, I think it would be like really great. Because obviously you wouldn't have to spend like $400 to $500 US on like a 4K console. It would be cheaper and portable. So it's like, I think that's what they're trying to do. We're just gonna have to wait and see though. We never really know what Nintendo's gonna do. They always do something weird compared to the other companies. But again, it's still pretty exciting for someone that doesn't own a Switch. If you don't really care about 4K support and stuff like that. Again, there's also emulation, but obviously that defeats the purpose of the Switch because there's no portability. But the LAN port is nice, but it's just frustrating that Nintendo's always like years behind with things like that. Like the LAN port, like this is the first time they've had a LAN port. Like, it's about time, honestly. Splatoon 3 looks alright. The family playing Mario Party. It's just weird that there's no improvement on the TV. Like, I wish there was something. They could even have had like an expansion pack or something small in the in this new dock that allows even the old Switch to kind of give it more memory or something, give it a bit more power so the games run just a tiny bit smoother at 1080p. So like Breath of the Wild and Odyssey and like Smash Bros, all these games run just perfectly without going to like the difficult areas to run, like in Zelda Breath of the Wild, like the Kokiri Forest. I think it's super laggy. Or Kokiri, yeah, it's the forest and Kakariko Village. Those are really hard to run areas. It'd be nice if they could just run perfectly smoothly, and I don't think it would have been that expensive. But I guess we'll just see what they're planning for this, and I think it's a step in the right direction. I think they have an ace up their sleeve with DLSS support, hopefully, and maybe they will release like a 1440p or 4K console. Anyway, leave your opinions down in the comments. I'll try to answer them. And this is an exciting time to be a Nintendo fan. I'm pretty hyped for Zelda Breath of the Wild 2, and excited to see what Nintendo has for the future. Later, guys. Pretty hyped for Zelda Breath of the Wild 2, and excited to see what Nintendo has for the future. Later, guys.